What up, crowdfunders? Salvador Briggman here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified YouTube channel. On this YouTube channel, we talk about crowdfunding and specifically how to get funding for your project, whether that is on Indiegogo or on Kickstarter. And today specifically, I'm getting into some of my very special tips and tricks for you if you're trying to raise money on Indiegogo. Indiegogo is a little bit different than Kickstarter. Kickstarter historically has been more of a closed off platform. With Indiegogo, you tend to have a little bit more customer service and also a little bit more business minded. And what do I mean by that? I mean, you can actually in some way negotiate with the team behind Indiegogo so you have a clear understanding that in order to rank better, I have to play by the rules of GoGo Factor. If I want to rank better, I gotta do well in the GoGo Factor algorithm. So my first tip for you is that if you want to do well with an Indiegogo campaign, you got to have an effective pre-launch. Pre-launch. By pre-launch, I mean pre-funding. I mean, basically, in order to get people interested in your campaign, in order to get people actually discovering it in Indiegogo Marketplace, in order to get into their newsletter, you have to have a little bit of funding ahead of time. You kind of have to prime the pump, if you know that term or expression. You got to get a crowd behind you before you go live on Indiegogo, and you also have to get them funding you. So I'm talking about 30% to 50% of your fundraising goal. You have to get to that initial critical mass in order to sort of jumpstart the entire process. You can start to trend well on Indiegogo. Once you hit that funding goal, you can then go out in the newsletter potentially. Maybe you can get tweeted by the platform. Having a good pre-launch is the formula for doing well on Indiegogo. And what does a good pre-launch look like? Things like building an email list, things like warming up your crowd ahead of time, building up social media profiles, and basically getting a bunch of people that are eager to be, or they're waiting for you to announce this new product that you're coming out with, this new project that you're going to announce. They're eager and they're waiting, and they suffer from the most important thing. They suffer from the problem that your product solves. My second tip for you when it comes to having an effective Indiegogo campaign that raises money is having a compelling pitch video. The pitch video, aside from the campaign text, the video is probably one of the most important things that person is going to come to the page, watch it, and decide whether or not to actually back you on Indiegogo. Now also you have things like your images and your GIFs, etc. But the video is sort of what coalesces all of that. It's sort of what whets the appetite, if you will, for the product, or actually that this is a really interesting thing that you put together. It sort of stokes those questions in their mind, gets them thinking about the problem and how the product solves that problem, the product that you have created. So creating an effective pitch video, I have some great videos out there going through how to do that, how to put together a good crowdfunding campaign pitch video. I urge you to go into those because you go a little bit more in depth into that. If anything, I have to say, you guys, if someone does not watch your video until the end, it's highly unlikely that they're actually going to take the time to look through the rest of your campaign. So you want to sort of think of that in mind. Sometimes we'll put together videos that are far too long that we think look good, but actually it's not enough juice to sort of command attention. By having a short, sort of punchy pitch video with a lot of the elements I talk about and some of the other videos I have out there on YouTube, you are almost surefire guaranteed to maintain attention, and in that way prime someone so that they're actually going to then take the time to look through your campaign page, look at some of the perks and rewards that you're offering, and maybe even back your project. The big difference between Kickstarter and Indiegogo is that Indiegogo offers what you call fixed versus flexible funding. You can also call this keep what you raise funding versus all or nothing funding. So there's fixed and flexible funding options on Indiegogo. This means, I'm going to use the terms just for simplicity's sake, all or nothing or keep what you raise funding. So with all or nothing funding, similar to Kickstarter, you have to hit or exceed your fundraising goal on Indiegogo. So if you set a $10,000 goal, you have to hit or exceed that goal in order to keep the funds that you've raised. Now, that can be a little bit intimidating, but at the same time, if you need $10,000 in order to make good on shipping putting out all these products and doing the manufacturing and hitting that minimum order quantity, you have to do an all or nothing crowdfunding campaign. Otherwise, you might end up raising $5,000. You get to keep the money, but then you need to find and come up with another $5,000 in order to actually create the product. So it kind of creates a little bit of a problem there. I do see obviously entrepreneurs doing a keep what you raise model where, let's just say you have that $50,000 goal and you only raise $25,000, you still are able to keep those funds. But remember, you're still under the obligation to deliver on the perks and the rewards that you promised throughout the project. So when it comes to choosing between fixed and flexible funding, the number one thing I would say is, can you actually fulfill on the promises that you're making when it comes to these rewards? And also, what is that fulfillment going to look like? What are the logistics going to look at? Think a little bit about that, because if you don't, you might end up having a lot of angry customers. My fourth tip for you when it comes to raising crowdfunding dollars successfully on Indiegogo is to understand where donations or pledges come from and to have a marketing strategy. You know, when we were first getting started, when I was getting into the industry, you know, back in 2012, basically people were able to just like put campaigns on crowdfunding sites and kind of just get attention because the marketplace dynamics were so strong, because crowdfunding was such a new thing. Journalists were willing to write about you, but that's changed a lot over time. Nowadays, you really need a rock solid marketing strategy in order to get traffic and attention and convert that attention into actual backers. So when it comes to marketing, that could take many different forms. That could take, you know, bread and butter social media, like organic social media traffic from Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc. It could also come from media mentions, having a media outreach strategy where you're actively pitching bloggers and reporters and they're writing about your products and your campaign. It could also come from your email list. You know, but once you build up that email list, then sending out targeted emails to sort of arouse curiosity, to get people wanting to learn more about your products, and then eventually backing your project. It can come from other stuff too, like when you have that instant funding that you build into the pre-launch, like we talk about in number one, getting more attention from the Indiegogo newsletter or from the actual marketplace. And finally, you have other stuff, like you have paid marketing, you have paid ads, running Facebook ads to targeted audiences on Facebook in order to get traffic to your product. That is another, you know, a very common way or formula, if you will, even in order to raise 6 or 7 figures on Indiegogo. The question kind of comes down to this: what are your resources? How much time do you have? And also, what kind of funding amount do you want to raise? If you're trying to raise, you know, $500,000, you are going to need paid marketing as part of your strategy. If you're trying to raise $50,000, it might not be as necessary, or $25,000. You might be able to lean more on organic marketing. Similarly, if you have a lot of time, if you have like a year or 8 months or 6 months until this project launch, you can actually take the time to build up your email list, your social media following, etc. If you only have a week or 2 weeks, you're going to then have to invest much more money in the campaign in order to get lots of instant traffic and attention, and then make sure, hopefully, that you also convert that into pledges. My fifth tip for you, before I get into one other bonus tip, is that when you're assembling an Indiegogo campaign, all too often people will just kind of like throw some information into their campaign text or into the description and not really view the description as a sales page. The really good Indiegogo campaigns basically function as a sales page. So study, look through other campaigns and study how they do their page. Look at the images that they include, look at the GIFs, look at how they word things, look at how they do the headlines, all of that kind of stuff, because you're going to basically want to draw inspiration from that. I've helped put together a lot of different Indiegogo campaign pages, and you really need to make sure that you have the consumer's attention at the forefront of your mind. What is going to capture their attention? What are the questions you're going to have? How are you going to ram them with different incredible features and different things that support your claims that the product is going to do, or how it's going to solve the problem? Make sure you study different Indiegogo campaigns. I think it would be great if you could break out an Excel spreadsheet and just write down some of these campaigns that you're drawing inspiration from, and you can use that when you're actually creating the layout for your Indiegogo campaign. Final tip, a bit of a bonus tip here, is you have to think about in-demand. I'm sure you might be familiar with this, but basically, if you're not, Indiegogo InDemand is the marketplace that you can go into after after you have successfully raised money on Indiegogo or on Kickstarter. So this is kind of like a marketplace of products where people can go there and they can browse, they can look at the different products. And specifically for those that are in demand, this is a campaign that has already been funded and is then shipping out. So people can continue to fund you and they can get that product in the mail. I think the cool thing about Indiegogo InDemand, and the reason why so many actual Kickstarter projects come and they actually bring their product over to InDemand, is that it is phenomenal social proof, man. When someone comes to your page and they see you have tons of funding and tons of backers already, it's almost like instant social proof. People know that this is a legitimate product. This is something that actually is blowing up. That's something that's really cool, that's worth their time. So InDemand is very powerful for a number of reasons. The ease of use when it comes to setting up that page, it's a lot simpler than just setting up your own Shopify store or online store. And in addition, you have that incredible social proof that actually comes with running a successful crowdfunding campaign. Hope you enjoyed this YouTube video. Again, my name is Salvador Briggman. Please take a second to subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can get notifications about when more videos come out. Also, make sure you do turn on notifications so you will get an email when I come out with new content. If you want more information like this, leave a comment down below so that I know. If you have any questions, you can also leave a comment down below and I can try to address that in a future video or maybe directly to you. And also, if you did like it, give me a thumbs up. Let me know, man, that this is something that you want me to put out more content like this. Thanks for watching. Again, my name is Sal, and I will see you next time.